Hello, MS Live. I'm your host, Dulci Hill, and today we are going to talk all things MS, um, and as well as dealing with difficulties that we all each have in life. All right, hang on. I don't know how that happened, but I got shorter. Hang on. Okay, I'll get higher. All right, I'm Beth. Unbelievable. I had planned on doing this right away. All systems were really going well, and you saw epic failure right away. That's what makes us real. We are not. Hi, Dee Dee. You know what? We're not. I am not a professional, and we are all coming together to help each other, and that's huge. That is, it's huge. Again, it's huge. Don't you hate it when, and it's usually people who've just been diagnosed. Hi, Chris. Uh, just been diagnosed. I just, I'm thinking it's like being a 16-year-old. When I was 16, I thought everybody was an idiot. Well, actually, I didn't think, but I came off as thinking everybody was an idiot, right? And the same thing goes when you've just been diagnosed with MS or the first 5 years. You ever notice you come on, hi, Desmond, you come across as knowing, uh, you find something. I remember the step aerobics. I was convinced that was the cure to MS. Also, different vitamins. Oh my gosh, and the bee sting therapy. People write books. I'll tell you what, who was recently diagnosed? Think about Jack Ozzy Osbourne's son, right? He came out, and all of a sudden he had he had advice for all of us. Uh, uh, there is two actresses who just got diagnosed. I will bet you they're going to come out with books telling us how we can do better and with MS. And honestly, I don't. I just I the longer you live with MS, the more you're humble. Uh, just the more you're humble, the more you're made to understand that you don't know, or I don't know. I don't have the answers. Um, if you go to msfrontiers.org, you will see the public groups that you can, or the private groups that you can join on Facebook. You can look at the resources we have for you, and they're constantly changing. They're constantly changing. And what we knew in 1993, when the first medication was approved, beta seron, and I was on them, is different. Beta seron originally only protected us 30%. We had a 30% chance if we took it and felt, it was an injection. Uh, it made you feel like you had the flu. It just made you, uh, uh, just made. Christina Applegate was just diagnosed with, yeah, Christina Applegate, and then who's the other one? The other one, and what's interesting, they were just diagnosed and they are both around 50, 49, 50, around that time. Uh, and there's one who went to the Oscars and she's carrying a cane, and everybody is like, that is just so uh, awesome, and you and I are just sitting there thinking, I mean, honestly, if you've had MS any amount of time, you look at that and you're like, I don't want to hear that. You don't. The worst thing you can get somebody who's had MS for a long period of time, I'm telling over 10 years, is a book on how to laugh with MS. I don't know. Not that I'm authority. I let because my sweet aunt sent me a book written by Terry Garr uh, that was supposed to cheer me up. But you know what? Terry Garr can't give me any more information than each one of you. Remember Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley? Squiggy, he was diagnosed with MS. He wrote a book. It was called Laughing All the Way. You know what? Your stories are maybe there are people who need that. Maybe there are people. You know who buys those books? People who've been diagnosed for 5 years or less, right? People who've never have never been dropped to our knees or their knees. Now, mind you, when you have an attack of anything, when you're faced, when I'm faced, when each of us is faced with the point where we recognize that nothing can help what just happened, and we're laying on the floor. We're like, and we're with a broken something. You're laying there, and all of a sudden you realize that reading a book by Terry Garr or by Squiggy or by any like Terry Wall, any reading these books is entertaining as they may be, it doesn't change how you feel when you're laying there and you're made to see. You're laying there and you're like, ultimately, my doctor, nobody can help what's between my head while I'm laying there, right? While you're laying there, while you're like, suppose you have an accident, right? You go potty all over the place. It's like, suppose you've just been diagnosed with cancer. All of a sudden, your spouse, your caregiver, your mom, your kids, all of a sudden, as wonderful as it is to have your house, the bills being paid, as wonderful as each thing is, you're still laying on the floor, right? You're still all of a sudden you've become useful to other people. You've become useful to me, to other people. All of a sudden, I want to read a book about that you wrote that tells me what do you do when you're laying on the floor and you realize that nobody can help. Your spouse can walk out, look at you laying on the floor and say, can I help you up? Yeah, they can help you up, but they can't help what's going on in your head, right? Oh my God. It's like, say you just got diagnosed with MS. It's, it's like, you know what? It, it, It's a family disease. Everybody needs to read about MS. It's a family disease. It is everybody who loves you, everybody who watches you. It's everybody's disease until they watch you hit the floor, right? Because they haven't hit the floor. They haven't gone to the bed. They haven't, they can only assume what it's like. So, all right. So you get people newly diagnosed. It's just, well, they have the money to get the massages. They ride horses. They have a horse in their backyard that they get their servant to hippotherapy. They've got that, and they'll write a book that says, "This is how I overcome. I eat organic. I have my chef make a berry salad for breakfast every day." You know what? Write a book when you're laying on the floor, when you don't have a chef, when you got something to share. Uh, it's when we're brought to our knees, that's when we're useful. That's when we got something to say, right? That's when it's like, hey, so anyway. Um, Well, all right, Dee Dee, I'll miss ya on Tuesday. So, Richard's in the house. Anyway, it's true. Richard, you could write a book, right? You could write a book on how to deal with MS. You know what? I thought I was an authority. There's so much that I have passed on with but now it's having a new challenge, a new you have to ask yourself that am I being dropped to my knees? All right, I'm trying to read around. Desmond said, "Hi, Richard. Richard, that hi, Desmond. I'm so grateful you're here. Desmond, where do you live? Where do you live? All right. Anyway, that's that's that situation. So you can each share. In fact, share. What do you do when you're laying there? What do you do when you're brought to your knees with a new diagnosis? What they're like, I go in and Georgia. You're from Georgia. Okay, we got a number of people. Sharia, where are you? Right, you're in Georgia. I know. I think yeah, Sharia is. Yeah, I think Sharia is right. But anyway, what do you do? What do you do? It's one thing. You go to the doctor and they say, all right, you know, what else do you have? You got MS. Everybody knows people on social media that says, "Well, I've got MS and lupus and chronic fatigue syndrome and diabetes and kidney failure," and it's like, oh, it's peripheral neuropathy. What is it? Uh, Raynaud syndrome. It's colon. Or I go into the doctor, right? The longer you have MS, the more they say, "Do you have anything else wrong with you? Anything else besides MS?" And nowadays, you say, "No, besides MS, I'm as happy, or I'm as healthy as a horse," right? Because so many of our symptoms fall underneath the umbrella of MS. Do we have Raynaud syndrome or do we have spasticity of our veins causing our legs to feel colder when it's 75 degrees? Then, I mean, that's pants weather. 75 degrees is pants weather. It's true. All right, and Chris is saying when you're laying on the floor and or you're in a situation where you recognize that you're alone in the world, that there is no family member, no loved one, there's nobody that's going to help you in that situation besides getting up or in your head, no one except, hi Nikki, except of course your your higher power, whoever that higher power would may be. Um, that's when you realize that you've been called to rely on your higher power. For me, for a lot of us here, it's Jesus Christ. You're laying there and you're like, oh, okay, all right, God, what am I supposed to learn from this and how am I supposed to use that? They're the two questions. Because a lot of that stuff, when you've broken a bone, you're laying there, you've gone to the bathroom, that is senseless. Senseless things that happen to us, right? Things that just don't make sense. Our first, our first question to our higher power needs to be, why am I like this? And number two, what should I learn from this? And well, you know what? Number three is, how can I use this? How can I use this? You need to ask questions instead of saying, well, this sucks. Hi, Sarah. This sucks. Uh, uh, you know what, Dee Dee? I just had, in fact, we're talking, and all of a sudden, Dee Dee's talking about insurance going up. It's true. Uh, but let me tell you something. I went a couple days ago and I had CD 19 and 20 cell designators. If you Google what that is, it's a test to find out whether you need rituximab or Ocrevus again. So I had that test done. I had to sign a waiver that said Medicare has decided they're not going to pay for that test anymore. It's a medically necessary test. So I had to sign that I might be responsible. My secondary insurance, and I'm paying big bucks because I don't have Medicare Advantage, which would be cheaper, but doing the research. I used to be an insurance agent. Doing the research on Medicare Advantage, is the danger of getting Medicare Advantage is that, yeah, they tell you they're going to pay for all the stuff until they don't. It's Animal Farm. It's Animal Farm. Yeah, they make exceptions. They make it's too expensive to cover people with MS. It's too. You know what? So you got to. You know what? I'm going to tell you, with what's going on in the United States, and I'm going to tell everybody with MS, stock up on baclofen, stock up on all ropinirole, all the medications that you cannot live without. Start uh, doing your own cabbage, right? Doing your own sauerkraut, your probiotics, your prebiotics. We have to live. We have to all of a sudden uh, uh, recognize that we have control over living in a anti-inflammatory. We have to get our bodies into an anti-inflammatory state, and it's unfortunately, I don't know, but I just don't think the government wants to spend money on people with MS anymore unless you have a secondary. And the government still is saying, "Yeah, I just got a notice that says Medicare will not be covering rituximab for people with MS." I got a letter about 4 months ago because what they're willing to do is that, remember, rituximab and Ocrevus is made by the same big pharmaceutical company, Genentech. And what Genentech did is so that people would not use rituximab, which was going generic, right? Why spend money on getting approved rituximab for MS, which it's a 16-year well to most people handle it very, very well. Why do that when it's generic? All of a sudden it's kind of like bare aspirin. Getting a patent that aspirin is good for various things, when all of a sudden it's generic. You can go down to CVS and get their off brand for 50, let's say $1.50 instead of $6. So the company, the big pharmaceuticals, is not going to put the research behind that. All right, make the jump to rituximab. Genentech didn't want to approve rituximab with the idea it was going to go generic. So what they did is they put the research behind a chain and a drug that they changed slightly. They change it, basically kills CD19/20, but it's changed. It's slight molecular change, and they patented that. They put the research in that. It, by the way, does have more side effects, but they did that. And why did they do that? They did that because then insurance would cover for multiple sclerosis because they had the proof. All right. So, okay. So Medicare says, no, we're not going to cover rituximab. We're not going to do that anymore. But what we're going to do is they are going to cover the generic. Uh, um, so I don't know. I'm about to go to war and find out because having MS is about going to war. Hi there, Monica. And God forbid if you have Medicaid. Medicaid is even more restrictive, um, but they pay more if it's in the formulary. If it's in the formulary. I'm sorry, Monica. We're talking a little bit about how to deal with MS when it's too expensive. When insurance in the United States, when our insurance no longer will pay for our medication, uh, but it's very true in India. How do you deal with MS, multiple sclerosis, in any country when it's too expensive uh, uh, to deal with it? What can we control? What can we control? Because again, the topic is we need to control something. And when you're laying on the floor, when you've gotten to a point where you're in a situation that nobody can help you. Yeah, they can pick you up, they can, but nobody can help you between your head. You've got to process what's going on and how you can control that. In your mind, you're like, this could happen again. What am I going to do to prepare? What am I going to do? Because Monica, what we're talking about is you lay on the floor and you got to ask yourself, you ask your higher power three questions. You say, why am I here? What am I supposed to learn from this? And how, number three is, how am I supposed to use this? Right? So, all right. Wow, there's more questions. How can I prevent this in the future? What did I do to end up here? All right. I there's a lot more questions. What Yeah, and Monica is in India, and he is saying that insurance doesn't help much there. So how is it, Monica, that you manage multiple sclerosis in India? What what because it you have a lot to teach us, right? Because we in the United States we are entering a point in our life with MS, everybody, that medicines are going to be really expensive. We're not going to, many of us aren't going to be able to afford uh, what is recommended to treat MS. So what do you do? Uh, uh, yeah, you have to manage expensive. Do you stockpile medications? I'm telling people stockpile medications while your insurance can pay for it. Stockpile the stuff you cannot do without. Uh, a stockpile. All right, get your pain medication. Get your get it. Oh, get baclofen, propinerol. Uh, if there's a way to stockpile it, do so, because I don't know what the future holds, but we have been warned. We always are warned in the future that bad things are happening. All right, and Richard's talking some Christian prophecy. You know what, Richard, you have been. Do you know? I want everybody to look up unction. Unction, because I just learned unction. I always thought, I've got the unction to go mow the lawn, right? Unction, the urge to do something. That's what I thought. Unction is actually a spiritual word. It's it's when you're moved by the Holy Spirit to do something. Unction. Uh, so unction. What do I have the unction to do? And look up that word unction, UNCTION, and Richard, you had the unction to reach out through your disease, and you've helped so many people. Richard, you're a tool. You've come to the point where you have recognized that other people that are suffering, and you approach them. You're like, how can I help? That's huge. Uh, uh, Monica says that he's managing uh, through a diet, basically. And I'm not going to give that I'm not going to give the specific diet, because I can't recommend any diets. Go to msfrontiers.org, look at the diet, There are so many different diets for MS, um, but the one that I particularly like the best, and all of them have an anti-inflammatory property. So if we can eat in a way that will reduce the inflammation in our body, when we have attacks, when we have these attacks, what happens? Our body is in a state of inflammation. It so they give you Solumedrol or steroids to reduce the inflammation. By the way, reducing that inflammation when you are in the state of inflammation will not have any impact on your future disability. Just because you quiet it down doesn't mean that the hole hasn't been made. All right, that you've had the attack, there has been inflammation. So you have to recognize it. You just have to recognize that your body is living in a state of inflammation. Many autoimmune diseases, many diseases we have uh, uh, are are attributed to our body being in a state of inflammation. So how do we control that in a government that are it's too expensive to take steroids. In fact, if you can get your doctor to give you some steroids, get to order you maybe prednisone and pills, so you can have that uh, not that I recommend that, but I remember I'm not a doctor, and if you can do that, the ropinirole would I would die without ropinirole, so I like to have a lot of that on hand. So I have that. Have a lot of baclofen, anything that'll break the tension. All right, it is. Uh, I get. You know what? Some no unction, Sarah. It's unction, not gumption. Unction. UN unction. CTION. All right, unction. Uh, uh, but again, it's important. We all have different relationships with how much we pay for medications. It doesn't matter. We also all have different incomes. We have spouses that may or may not work. We all are look at our assets. We look at our income. We all have our balance sheet, and we all have our priorities. And at some point, we have to decide what is the priority. What is the priority? Do you have a walker? Do you have a scooter? Do you have, you know what? Do you have, I'll tell you what I'm dealing with incredible arthritis in my thumb. And my right thumb, oh my gosh. It's like having a paper cut. It is in the middle of the night. I'll lay there and I'll think, how can this thumb right here, how can it ruin my life, right? Well, I'm thinking, all right, so I've Googled, I researched, that's what I do. There's surgeries, there's braces, but there's also on Bob and Brad, there's physical therapy for thumb arthritis. There's physical therapy. It's free on YouTube. So we need to get in the habit of finding the free stuff, finding the free stuff. I sent all of you. questionnaire. It was a pharmaceutical company trying to get, if you had secondary progressive MS and you live in the United States, they were paying each of us $100 if we participated in this. And I screened them, I sent that out, I posted it everywhere. I don't often do that, but I do that if it's a way that we can bring money into our house and help us. Uh, uh, Unfortunately, it was a small window. It was only that week, so when I sent that out the second time, it was already closed. So the people contacted me and they said, the second time, the first time I posted it in a couple social media sites and I sent out email, and it was largely ignored. The second time, in fact, it was like, it's spam, you got Dulci, you're spamming. The second time I sent it out, I got more people receptive that says, is this true stuff? And problem is it was closed. So when I send out a way to make some extra money, if you see it come from me, I've already screened it. All right. So anyway, all right, the best medication, you're talking about disease modifying medication for secondary progressive MS in the United States. In fact, if you go to msfrontier.org, the very top, if you go down and you look at where it's posted, it medications are posted they don't do that anymore, in the level of effectiveness, right? So look all the way at the bottom, you'll find that the two most effective medications, actually, they'll say the number one is Ocrevus, but again, it's so is rituximab. So basically, it's the monoclonal antibodies that kill the cell designators. They're the most effective medications uh, as far as statistically speaking. Disabri is now. You know what? But I don't have to text you, DD, because you just write it down. You just text me MS Frontier. It's MS Frontiers. Go open up uh, on your cell phone, on your computer. Open up a tab and type in msfrontiers.org. Or you can do msfrontiers.com. Do that because we sold t-shirts. Was it about a year and a half ago? And you guys support that. Well, every time we buy a t-shirt, it goes to paying for that website to continue. And my relationship with that website is that I'm supposed to update it. I've got to update it, but I've been just so tired. Uh, and you know what? Chris is talking about Disabri, and I will tell you that I like, out of all the medications I've ever been on, and I've been on a lot, Disabri was my favorite because Disabri is the only medication that has been proven by about 20% of the people who get it to actually perceive that they're doing better. You actually feel better. It's only 20%. Granted, I'd have to look at the statistics and see there is a percentage that feel like they're losing their hair. There's a percentage of bad things, people who feel it's bad things, but not nearly as 20% feeling that it's better, feeling they feel better. All right. I want to make sure. Uh, okay, so I like Disabri. Um, Disabri had no side effects for me. Very expensive drug to take. Very, very expensive drug to take. Um, I was getting to Sabri University of Pennsylvania, and I was driving up. Let's see, I was driving up to get that. I looked at how they were billing my insurance company. They were billing it $35,000 for one vial of Tisabri. So what I did is because I had to drive an hour and a half to for my appointments, I decided to find an infusion area that was real close to my house. I found one on the corner, probably a mile and a half down. I used to go to. You know how much they charged for my infusion? $3,500. 3,000, 10% of what this university hospital charged me. So it is important. All right, let's see. All right, I'm looking around to see. All right, keep. You know what? Again, $7,600 for an infusion for Sabri is cheap compared to 35,000 at University of Pennsylvania. Ivy League, doctors, hospital. No, no. All right, the side effects. The major side effect is PML. It is a brain infection that can make you like a vegetable. The thing is that it's 1 in 1,000. It's the same odds of you dying in a house fire, not having your house catch fire. The same odds of you burning up in a house fire. It just, and I've got to ask questions. I've got to ask questions. How do you stack the odds, right? Uh, for 1 in 1,000. Are you a smoker? Did you take sleep medicine while you're smoking a cigarette and you fell asleep? There's different things that stack our odds, right? I was pulled off to Sabri. Johns Hopkins said you can't take the Sabri because apparently we have different factors that increase the odds of us having this PML. All right, what with me, I had been on Tisabri for 7 years. That increased my chances of getting this deadly brain disease. If you have JCV virus or JBC, no, Jacobs, it's a virus, JCV. If you test positive, that increases your levels. Uh, so that's it. If you don't have that, all right. The other thing is if you've ever had Nivantrone, the chemotherapy Nivantrone to control your MS, you are more you've now created an additional risk. In fact, if nowadays, if you've had Nivantrone, they won't even allow you to take Disabri. Uh, but when I first started taking Disabri, they didn't know. They didn't know. They didn't know the side effects. They didn't know the JCV. They didn't know these tests that increased your odds. Jonathan, oh, all right, JCV is Jonathan Cunningham virus. All right. I thought it was jack off. I don't know. JCB. I've got to. I've got to. JCV. Okay, JCV. All right. Doesn't say. Anti John Cunningham virus antibody. All right. So, but again, it just 2013. I see the very first 2013. So it is good to have that test. And again, I was on to Sabri, let me think, 2007. So I was pulled on 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 2014, I guess, or they tested me. They said you can't, you're positive. And all of a sudden they sold these other risk factors and they said no, you can't. And I said, but my odds of coming down with it with 3%. I guarantee with 3%, 3 in 100 that increased. So I said, no, my hair did not fall out. In fact, it got thicker. So so anyway, yeah. So anyway, let me think. So the longer I went to Hopkins and I said, I choose the 97%. It makes me feel better. I choose to take it. Please give me to Sabri, even though I'm 3% at risk of having this deadly reversible. It's reversible. So if you're in tune with your body, you're like, I'm having it feels like an MS attack. All of a sudden, it's dramatic. So you call your doctor right away and you're like, something's not right. And they test you, see if you've got the virus. All of a sudden, they got the virus. They have medicines that reverse it. So why didn't you stay on it? And Johns Hopkins said no. You know what? There's no doctor that is going to prescribe you this medication here. So I was out. I was out. So they said it's true. Maybe we all have, but you know what? Ivermectin. I was thinking because there's Gina's making a joke about ivermectin, and it's true, right? Because let me tell you something. In Africa, it is so low. The MS and what did they do? They gave everybody. They decided there was a study where they gave everybody anti-malaria medication, hydrochloroquine. It was only a couple cents a pill. They gave everybody. I don't know. And then ivermectin. Ivermectin is how I worm my chickens, right? It's a worming agent, right? So you can feed your chickens ivermectin pellets and then eat the. But you know what? When you've got nothing to lose, and you don't have money anymore because these medications are too expensive to take, uh, it just it you start doing desperate things. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting. So you have to ask yourself risk and reward, risk and reward. risk and reward, which made me go to Johns Hopkins and said, I want to risk PML because the reward of feeling 20% better is so beneficial at this point in my life that I'm willing to do that. And they said no, but no doctor here because if they got they are a publicly funded university, and they couldn't be on record as having a patient who ended up with PML because I would be listed. So I would be listed if I got it, even if they reversed it. Oh, Sarah, Sarah's talking a little bit about you know what? I taught of using a shotgun instead of BB gun against insidious disease, and I read, having clinical depression at one time in my life. I'm thinking, anybody who uses a gun to commit suicide instead of a shotgun, it make darn sure it's so I have to look at that over. Okay, I'm going off the reservation with my analogy. Um, you know what? We all have to make the decision to take the vaccination, take this medication to control our MS, live without any medications. I told you I am visiting medical marijuana. Oh, I want to show you guys something. About 10 years ago, my friend uh, was in Colorado and picked up, this is a CBD oil pen. It is a non narcotic, it's no THC, it's hemp. She brought it to me because it was sold to her as a paint, as a non, uh, so it's supposed to be good with pain. Before I did this, I did MS Live. I did this twice. Every once in a while I do this because I am in just awful pain today. Um, this did not work. I have narcotics that kind of work, but I get so sleepy, so I don't want to be high. And I told the pain doctor. Now, granted, I've got stockpile medication, right? But guess what I'm about to do? I'm about to cut out narcotics completely. I applied for my medical marijuana card, and not for the THC because I made it very clear I do not want to get high. But they said the THC, uh, you have high CBD, all right? CBD, you have a bit of THC in here, which is the psychotropic thing, but it will help this work. Problem is that you need a little bit. You don't feel high. I'll let you know how that goes because I haven't tried it yet. But I tell you, the CBD that I've had for 10 years, it doesn't work. For me, it doesn't work. However, the CBD roll ons work. By the way, you see that here? See that there I was at physical therapy and she said, well, how'd you get that? I fell. Said I fell. I fell in the gym, right? Because I did ropes. I did ropes. I had my walker, not my scooter. I did ropes. I got so tired and I sat down on my walker, and then I decided I'm gonna go over and just work on some shoulders over on the bench. So there's a lot of young guys. They're all working out. Well, I went to sit down on the bench. I completely my butt missed the bench, and what I fell flat, like a tree. And I guess the only thing that bent was my elbow, right? And they came over and they said, oh, how can we help you? How can I said, pick me up, right? Because I'm good between my head. I'm good. I'm on there. I'm like, all right, I no longer, what can I learn? I realize that God needs these guys to be a little humble. They're muscle bucks, a little humble. So they pick me up. God needs these guys to be angels. So they said, all right, how can we help you? They pick me up, right? What's the number one thing people do for MS? Right? What is the number one thing? They pick us up and then they let us go and they walk away. And we are about to fall down again. And I was like, no, no, no. They started walking away. I was like, no, no, no. Come back. Come back. Make sure I'm sitting on the weight bench, right? Make sure because I fell because I missed. And they're like, are you all right? I said, yeah, I do this all the time. I fall. That's why it's important that I work out. Uh, that's true. And Gina is saying, so, so Gina is saying if you haven't fallen, you're not living. But again, falling in private sucks when no one's around to help you pick yourself up, and that's when you lay there and you're like, what am I supposed to learn? Falling in public is a wonderful experience because it really isn't about you. Now it's about the people that help you. Um, you get this. It's not a big deal. I mean, I didn't break a bone. I lost some skin. Who cares? All right. All right. Gina is saying you need a little THC to make the CBD more effective. In the same way, about 20 years ago in California, I had a doctor that would give me 100 Vicodin, and it would last me a year. 100 Vicodin. And what I used to do was break it in half, take half a Vicodin with two ibuprofen, because it would the two ibuprofen and the one Vicodin, it would elevate the narcotic, and it would last the whole day. So in the same way, I have been told, and you guys are telling me, and now the doctor, everybody's telling me that the THC on a lower, say 1 THC, will elevate the CBD. Actually, let's see, CBD. All right, whatever. It's a one. So anyway, that will help. So anyway, so what do we do? What do we do when things are too expensive? I'm dealing with somebody who's in Canada that has just been diagnosed, and you know the things that the medical people are telling her to do. It's just scary. To me, it's scary. So I think she should be here because I think you guys can give her advice. Uh, I talked to her on the phone, and I was like, "Oh, they told you to do that? Why?" I was doing more questioning. Uh, and Gina says, falling in public is create a blessing for others to help you. It's true. It's not about, and that's that third step. You lay there and you're like, this sucks. What am I supposed to learn from this? and only when you're like, oh, how am I supposed to use this? How is God supposed to use this? How is my higher power supposed to use this in public? This public, you know what? Your higher power is working through the other people to show empathy or sympathy or picking you up, and it's teaching them to be kind in a society that is stripped of kindness. You know what? And that's what we're being told, that there's no kindness out there. Let me tell you something. 4,000 or 4,000,000, 4.6 million people quit their job in the United States this past 30 days. That was, let's see, it's a public access group. It's a public access. So if 4,600 people are quitting their job, are questioning this, then then what we see on the news with the country, the United States being a mean, nasty place is just not true. When I fall, when I'm at the gym, I react to smiling people that may not vote the same way as I do, but they're good people. And they're good people and they will help me no matter what. So it gets beyond and above these issues. Anyway, I know it's top of the hour. Love you all. Uh, you know what, Sarah? I like that. Sarah falls to give others the opportunity to serve. Early on, I used to fall to get discounts in stores. No, you'll find there is a should ya? I remember. I don't know. I've got a lot of stories. I've gotten people out of trouble. Anyway, so let me pray us out. Go to, first of all, follow me if you're on YouTube or Facebook, and subscribe to my channel if you're on YouTube. Go to msfrontiers.org. And thank you all for being here today. Thank you for helping. Let me pray us out. Heavenly Father, I thank you for working through all of us and helping each other, Lord, because ultimately the decisions and the struggles we make are so similar, so much. We have so much in common that only through each of our failures, only when we're laying uh, we're dropped to our knees, we're laying in the floor, and we're made to see that there's got to be a reason why we're suffering. If there's a reason, if it's for good, if it's like Romans 8:28 said, all things work together for good for those called according to God's purpose. If we can just relax and enjoy the ride, because we recognize we are dead a hell of a lot longer than we are alive, and make it worth it for us. In Jesus' name, I give thanks. Amen. I want y'all to have a wonderful weekend. It's Friday, all right, Friday, and I will talk to you on Tuesday. Bye.